Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sunrise, your weekend dose of everything that we have to give you, everything that has happened during the week, and some burning national and, some soft issues here and there. Joke Rogers. And with me here is...
Ayo Makinde, thank you very much. You should have... I didn't see the script. I would have taken my part of it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, by the way, have you had your cup of cocoa?
Yeah, well,
I finished my first cup. Don't worry, I'll get more.
Okay. Mine is here. Right, so today...
A number of things have happened in the course of the week.
Yes, certainly.
One of them is that, the celebrated return of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan.
Yes, only just earlier this week, her office was unsealed, and it was done in a dramatic way. I'm sure that's how, they usually do stuff like that, with an announcement by the so-called town crier, announcing the unsealing of her office. And I'm sure, her constituents, and she was very grateful for that after... was it 6 months? How many? Of her office being sealed. Although technically, she has not, resumed legislative duties in that sense, because there's still recess on. But by that time, once the senators are back, she'll be able to go back and sit in the seat assigned to her.
So all that English about, well, there are some cases in court and blah, 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 all of that's gone to the what?
Well, maybe that gone to the side, but, the main thing is, should that prevent her from performing her legislative duties and performing her duties to her constituents, which is why she's there in the first place, right? And then I hear that some people are saying she needs to apologize, and she's saying she's got none to apologize. I'm not even going to go into all of that drama. Let's pick up the next issue for the day. Another seemingly... troublesome.
Troublesome, thank you, that's the word, is this whole Dangote, Pengassan, Nopeng issue. I'm still a little bit lost about what the whole thing is about.
Yeah, well, there's still... there was an agreement September 9, between Dangote and Nopeng that should bolster Dangote workers to unionize. The major issue is them belonging to Oil Workers Union.
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria, they believe Dangote is stifling. Dangote, not Dangote as a man, but the company is stifling workers, not allowing them to be free to unionize. That means they can't join strikes, they can't do anything. And, and they're piffed, or miffed, if I could put it that way. I think that's a new word, piffed.
No, peeved.
Peeved, and miffed about it, So they're just fighting tooth and nail. But the Reps Committee on the Petroleum Downstream is wading into this, and they're saying that it should be settled because it'll cause a disruption in the downstream sector, and we know what that means. Nigerians will get the feel of that, because things will not go as they're supposed to.
It's a little, I don't know. First of all, my argument had always been, what are the unions bringing to the table? I'm sorry, I'm not a unionist, but workers' rights is definitely a human right, and that must have its pride of place. But a number of things are playing in my head. There is the argument on some sides that the unions had everything, possible to have been able to champion the cause. I think that was something said by Mr. Femi Otedola that, look, why don't you guys just take over Port Harcourt Refinery, see how it works, right? But that's within Nigeria. So, on the one hand is Dangote is a business.
Yeah.
$20 million refinery, and that's not all the investments that's been made. So additional investments have to be made for that business to be profitable.
Yeah.
The fellow hasn't even broken, has he even broken half even now? And then all of this is happening. So people are wondering, if we're doing this to one of us, a Nigerian, what happens if it was a foreigner that brought this kind of idea into the country?
Yeah, and there's a school of thought that believes there's a conspiracy theory targeted against the Dangote refinery, even though, you know, is getting some sort of support from the government. But, you know, it's like it's monopoly, like, you know, everyone else.
Everyone
has if people can...
Channels Television could have been accused of monopoly.
Yeah.
Why? We have more than 1.5 billion views on YouTube.
Yeah.
How many TV stations have that? We are the news leader in the country. How many TV stations can boast of that?
First in a lot of things.
First in a lot of things. How many times have we won that, the NMMA?
Oh, well, over.
Exactly. Now, someone can come out and say, Channels Television is a monopoly. Amazing. Now, do me a favor. Start your monopoly.
Yes.
Right? Not the game, you know, but start your monopoly if that's the problem that we're dealing with here. Because, for one, no one has been able to refute what Alhaji Dangote said, that we've been struggling with fuel queues since what, about 50 years ago, since the 80s. Now we are here. Thankfully, we haven't had queues in what, how many years now?
Yeah.
And some of us are still wondering how come. I asked the question here, Joker, you were here when I was asking the question. These unions, what are you getting from each tanker?
Yeah.
And someone has raised that issue. Is it a problem of unionization or a problem of money?
Yeah. And then you know that a lot of these unions too, they have the sector by the throat. They
thought they did.
Well, I mean, that's why they're trying to grab whatever.
The interesting dynamic in this one, Joke, is the Dangote refinery is located in a free trade zone. Guess what? The rules are different. Read the law. The NEPSA Act is there. You can't enforce unionization at a free trade zone anywhere in the world like you would here. So if the guy decides, for instance, that all my workers are going to be Dangotians, you know, who's going to blame him? Right? It's the rule. And if you don't have an issue and say, okay, this guy has broken the law, what exactly are we dealing with here?
Yeah.
So if we are as patriotic as we want to make ourselves believe, let's look for ways of working together as opposed to running threats here and there. So I don't know. Look, and Dangote refinery is not the only one. There's Watersmith the refinery that's also active. There's Boa refinery also coming up, and a number of others here and there. Can I have a new Peng refinery? Can I have a Pengasan refinery? Please? We'll be happy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, we will.
And there are plenty of free trade zones in the country, and I'm very sure that the federal government will be happy to assist.
Okay, let's talk about something happier.
Okay.
Like, you know, kings and monarchs. New kings, new crowns and new styles of office, you know, ancient cities like Ibadan. And the new Olubadan of Ibadan land. Right.
First of all, himself and the president kind of have a history.
Yes, they do.
I think that helped in a way, you know. Both former senators.
Yes, both former governors.
Both former governors. And I think they were both in some kind of, they have a history. That's the long and short of it. You know, what is a little exciting for me about the whole thing is that I'm not sure this is not the first time we are having a governor or a former governor being a monarch. I'm not sure. But to the best of my knowledge, in Oyo State, in Ibadan, that is it. Secondly, someone called my attention to the fact that Ibadan, the monarchy, the Olubadan seat, is one of the very few, if any other, that there are little contestations. You know who is the next Olubadan without consulting the oracle and all those things.
In fact, because they moved from Mogaji to, I think Jagun is the first step. There are 22 steps, by the way, on either side. There's the civil side of the line, and there's the military side. So even the Mogajis have to contest several, and then they'll choose one of them to move to the first line of 22 on either side. So even Oba Ladoja has been Mogaji since in the 80s.
Wow.
He's been at it for a long time. You know, and it's a dream come true.
Honestly, can we have that kind of system in our democracy as well, where we know who is the next president? We're not struggling. We know who is who, you know, anywhere. So, well, anyway, congratulations to the people of Ibadan, and we celebrate and we applaud the new monarch in Ibadan, the Olubadan of Ibadan, Oba Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja. Arusa, yes. One.
I love that.
One.
For a long time, I was wondering, how did you call that, even though I grew up in Ibadan?
No, I just wanted to be, I wanted to say it, but I wasn't sure which one it was. Arusa One.
I monitored that thing closely. I had to listen in. Oh, I need to know how this is called.
I look forward to interviewing the monarch.
Yes.
You
and I together.
Here is a public, what do we call it now?
Maybe we'll take sunrise to
public, what do we call it now? Open letter.
Open letter.
Would love to host you and talk about some historic things.
Yes,
By the way, I heard the Oba asking the president for Ibadan State. That's anyway, I don't know. Let's get into the conversations for today.
Right. So Nigeria at 65. All hands on deck for a greater nation. Wow.
Just remember, October 1 is on Wednesday.
Yes.
Now, electricity for all, bridging the gap. Which all are you? We're hearing people talk about no electricity as much as we used to.
Is that over electricity? This money is too much.
Anyway, there's that.
Right. And then we have focus on emergency response in Lagos. Absolutely.
There is also that conversation about Runway Jazz 2025.
And a lifestyle segment, managing and maximizing stress.
Well, I understand managing stress.
I don't know how you maximize it.
Okay, we'll find out later. And then artist of the week, let's just say is a he.
Is a he.
No, don't put that other word. Don't put that other word. There is no goat there. It's a he.
Oh my God.
He identifies as a he.
As a he. That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know.
For now.
Okay, in the meantime, do me a favor. If you have got a cup of cocoa, refill. And we'll be right back. Hello again. Okay, hope you served yourself that hot cup of cocoa. Because it is time to celebrate Nigeria at 65.
It's a big one.
The federal government decided that for this year, the theme of our celebration is all hands on deck for a greater nation. That's the theme for the 2065th anniversary of our independence. Now, the whole idea is that the theme underscores the importance of unity, collaboration, and patriotism in driving national progress. So, as we commemorate 6 decades plus of nationhood, we'll explore ways to consolidate past achievements, pursue loftier goals, and see how far we can go under the current administration's agenda. We should also not keep our eye only on the federal government, but look at the states as well.
And even the people.
Most
importantly.
So let's have conversations with 3 gentlemen joining us this morning. Richard Wokocha joins us virtually. He's a professor of public law at the Rivers State University. He's also a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. We have with us as well Dr. Sulaiman Usman, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, as well as a live bencher. He joins us also virtually from Abuja, as well as Mr. Dapo Akinshun, a senior advocate of Nigeria and founding senior partner at Simmons Cooper Partners. Gentlemen, again, thank you so much for your time today. Prof, let me begin with you, Professor Wokocha. Nigeria at 65 and 26 years, first time we're running our democracy, 26 straight years unbroken. Politically, socially, economically, if you would take a guess, Is there anything really to celebrate? Professor Wokocha, that's for you, if you can hear me.
Before we get into your question, is there anything to celebrate 65 years down the line and about 24 years of unbroken democracy? I am afraid one cannot, in all honesty, say that there is much to celebrate.
Oh dear. I think we're having some kind of a glitch with that network, but I know that we'll be able to get Professor Wokocha back. Dr. Usman, if you can hear me, can you speak to the same issue? Is there anything to celebrate 26 years down the line? This is not 2025 now, and we've been at this Fourth Republic since 1999, and we have done 65 years as a nation. We have not divided. What are your thoughts?
Well, by way of introduction, on October 1st, 1960, Nigeria emerged from British colonial rule as a sovereign nation full of promise, endowed with vast natural resources, rich in cultural heritage, and with the hope of becoming Africa's giant in every respect. At 65, Nigeria's journey has been a tapestry of triumphs, trials, and transition, an unfinished story of resilience and possibility. So we cannot say that nothing has been achieved. There has been a lot of gains on the political side, apart from the independence, though we underwent the dark period of military rule and civil war. But afterwards, at least since 1999, we have had uninterrupted democracy and constitutional democracy. So most of the objectives of Nigeria, national objectives, in terms of free and democratic society, in terms of a land full of opportunities for citizens, have been realized. But Nigeria is still facing myriads of problems, fundamentally economic problems and social problems. And part of social problems.
Yeah, let me quickly take the opening comments of Mr. Akinshon as well. Same thing, same question. Should we roll out the drums? Now, it would seem like the only thing the federal government is concerned about is us just getting to work. But occasionally, we should, when we reflect on our nation, how far we've gone. You've heard the opening comment of Professor Wokocha in Port Harcourt. You've heard the opening comments of Dr. Usman in Abuja. What are your thoughts, Mr. Akinshon?
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of this conversation.
Okay.
Nigeria has come a long way. And as a young man, I remember that I could travel the length and breadth of Nigeria freely. Would get up in the middle of the night when I was in the university and come from Ife to Lagos without any worry about security. The roads were much better. You could be certain then that if you entered Lagos Ibadan Express Road, it was a maximum of a 1-hour journey. But over the years, many of the infrastructure are not what it used to be. Security is very shifty now. I mean, now I would find it hard to do any night journey at all, talk less of to places I don't know. Then we do bus rides, but there is some cause to celebrate. Nigeria has moved forward in terms of communication, which is a worldwide thing. That is, we are not left far behind. But at the same time, I believe that there is a lot more that needs to be done to get us to where we can be or where we should be as a nation.
What Well, most certainly. Well, Joke also has questions for you, gentlemen.
Right. So, at the United Nations General Assembly yesterday, Vice President Kashim Shettima spoke boldly, made bold statements about Nigeria being in a position to make or mar the trajectory of global growth. That is actually a bold statement on the part of Nigeria. It made that statement on the sidelines of a meeting on education. Right. So, how do you think the effective leadership in Nigeria, the role of effective leadership in Nigeria, what kind of role do you think it can play in actually shaping the country's nationhood and development trajectory itself, particularly in addressing issues of insecurity, corruption, and infrastructure delay, if it, can actually make or mar the trajectory of global growth? This is to Mr. Akinyosho.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. You were breaking at that point.
Right.
Can you come about the question?
I said the role that you think the leadership role in Nigeria, the role it can play in actually shaping the country's nationhood and development in areas of insecurity, infrastructure development, and what have you. And I'm asking that from the point of view that, at the United Nations General Assembly, the Vice President had made a bold statement that Nigeria is in a position to make or mar, the trajectory of global growth itself.
I didn't catch that, but what I heard is how can we or how can Nigeria improve on the our work with security? I think there was a hint dropped by the president during his manifesto, a stretched thin. The first thing we need to do is upgrade the level of security personnel we have. We're under-policed. From the records, there are only about 300,000 policemen. Whether that record is correct or not is another matter entirely. But we need to, for an 80 million population, I believe we can increase the number of police security personnel in the armed forces generally. I think the president had hinted at engaging about 50,000, but we need to have more graduates and train people join around. We also have intelligentsia managing our security. The more educated they are, the better they can reason and follow through security issues. Nigeria has done well. I just noted that over the years, Nigeria on peace missions had done well in time past. We intervened in South Africa, we intervened in Liberia particularly, and we always come out with glowing records. It shows that there's a potential and the capacity to do these things, if only more attention is paid to it. I don't know if that answered the question.
Well, maybe in some sense, but
for more if there is.
But yeah, most certainly. Well, Professor Wokocha, I know that you haven't really been able to say much, so we'll take that question to you as well. Excuse me, your opening comment was that as far as you are concerned, there isn't really much to celebrate. But then, so diving into the conversations now, because I saw that even Dr. Usman was trying to wait until we got into the deep of the conversation. So let's just dive straight into it. In what areas, Prof, would you say that we have lagged behind over time? Because there are those who would argue that we tried the First Republic democracy, it didn't quite work. We didn't do up to, I don't think we did up to 5 years. We tried in the Second Republic. We didn't do up to 5 years either. The Third Republic, I don't even think we got off the ground, at all. But we've done 26 years now. And so if you say we haven't made progress, what are your thoughts? What have we missed or what are we missing? Professor Okacha, that's for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you compare the past with the present in determining how far we have come. First, we're a key player in our region, and if we have to say we have done well, we must look at where we are coming from and reach the conclusion that we have made improvement in our journey towards our destination. I am afraid that if we take it on each of the headings, we cannot boldly say that. Yes, on the international scene, where we have had opportunities, we appear to have managed ourselves well in those environments to come back with praises and all of that. But I think there is a jinx about managing ourselves at home, and that's where, for me, the problem lies. Whether you're talking about the economy, whether you're talking about security, whether you're talking about power, all seem to have been bogged down by something that is internal. And it would appear to me to be wrong and unbridled politics. So I think if we are measuring from the past, one cannot proudly say that we have made a lot of progress. It's, for me, doubtful whether we are actually on the road we set for ourselves towards the destination that we are looking at achieving. At the moment, one cannot with pride say that there is too many indices that are pointing downwards for one to be able to hold that
But Prof,
position.
I love the fact that you mentioned, you said where we are coming from. And when you also say that a path we have chosen for ourselves, that's where my question is, Prof. Because there's been this whole discussion, this whole challenge about whether there is a Nigerian vision with which to measure progress. There are those who are wondering, what is the Nigerian vision? In Dubai, for instance, people knew, those who knew what Dubai was in the 80s would also always point to the fact that there was a visionary leadership. There was visionary leadership. People are citing the example of Singapore. Where was Singapore in the 70s? But they also talk about the fact that there was visionary, not just leadership, but visionary leadership, Prof. People would always look at the US, look at some of these other nations, and say that they had a trajectory towards which they were going. But the challenge that a number of people, who have had conversations around this have come up with is, question, what is the Nigerian vision? Because if we don't have that, how will we know how far? If you are going to Port Harcourt, for instance, you know how many kilometers you have to travel. But if you don't know where you're going, how can you know how far you've gone? Prof, that's for you again.
Yeah, there is some bit of technical challenge, but I think I got a good part of the questions that the question that you have asked. As I said in my last response, to measure a movement, you have a starting point and you must.
Oh, yeah. We have to get that back. But I know that, Dr. Usman, you heard that question as well, that question of national vision and visionary leadership. Do you think that was or has been a challenge for us?
The challenge for us appears to be lack of clear direction that we are headed to. Each government may say, yes, this is where we are going, this is what we want to do. But
okay, I think we're having a bit of a challenge with Prof, but Dr. Usman, if you can take that question, sir.
Hello, Mr. Ayo.
Yes, go ahead. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Well, if I can come in terms of economy, there were some gains, though there are major challenges since the removal of subsidy and the floating of the naira. But gains that Nigeria as a nation has made in that sector, telecommunication, fintech, and there is now also a recalibration and rebasing of the GDP, and that has shown a little promise that if other aspects are fine-tuned, the economy will work strong. In the last discussion you had this morning, you were discussing about the Dangote refinery, the ability of the refinery to ensure that we don't have queues in our fuel station, and the prices of petrol have started coming down. That is also a gain. But government need to do more in terms of real efforts to ensure that our macroeconomic policies are gotten right. Once that is done, the other areas of security where we have more challenges can also be curtailed, not necessarily through the involvement of security agencies. From my experience and my understanding of the nation landscape, all the areas in the northeast and northwest where we have banditry and Boko Haram, we also have water resources, we have dams, we have rivers.
I'm sorry to break the conversation, Dr. Usman, but the question is that of the challenge of visionary leadership. We don't seem to have it. That is why, for many Nigerians, it is difficult to measure our progress. We can't hobnob on areas that are working and ignore some others, if you understand what I mean. So if we have a challenge in the area of visionary leadership, what is that challenge? As Dr. Wokacha said, Professor Wokacha said the other time, if we don't know where we are going, we can't know how far we've come. Now, 65 years down the line, and I like the fact that you said that we had governments before independence, but now we've been governing ourselves for 65 years. So what is the Nigerian vision is a question a number of people are still asking.
The major challenge really of the nation is visionary leadership, because we can compare with the performance of our heroes past and some leaders, especially from where I came from. The performance of some of our governors, especially Governor Shokangia, up to the present time in my state, has not been replicated by successive government, even though there have been progress. So once we get our act right in terms of leadership, and it's not visionary leadership that we don't have, like absence of visionary leadership, but the leadership recruitment process, both in terms of election and in terms of presenting or nominating people for appointment. Current leadership, unlike our leaders of the First Republic and the ones that follow them afterwards, tends to give emphasis to people that they can control. It is more selfish, it is more personal than really putting people that can turn the country around. We have a lot of human resources in Nigeria in all aspects that can turn the country around, that have the ideas. But for those that control and call the shots presently, to allow a selfless process of leadership recruitment in terms of both election and appointment, that is where we are getting things wrong. And on the side of the electorate, because of the way the democratic system is being manipulated, presently, if you don't have money, you can't even aspire for public office. And because the large number of the electorate largely are challenged by poverty, they cannot really withstand the temptation, resist the temptation of this stomach infrastructure that is usually rolled out during elections in terms of vote buying and influencing the outcome. So this has been really the problem of Nigeria. If we can get our leadership right, we have enormous resources, and most of our problems can be solved within a term of 4 years. Right. I believe from the little I know, within a term of 4 years, all the problems, almost all the problems can be solved.
Right.
Because somebody has demonstrated that in my state in 2 years. Shehu Kangiwa served as governor of Sokoto State from 1979 and 1981 when he died. The infrastructural project he rolled out at that time in terms of the market, the motor park, the House of Assembly, the Shehu Kangiwa Secretariat, the Giginya Hotel, and all other projects that are still there, has shown that with purposeful leadership, selfless leadership, Nigeria can be turned around 360 degrees, right, and can attain her place of pride in the Committee of Nations.
Right. Thank you, Doctor. But Mr. Akinshun, let me put this to you. He has said a lot, and there's a lot to unpack there. We're talking about visionary leadership, but is there a leadership without people to lead? Usually, democracy, we say, is the mantra: government for the people, of the people, and by the people. In having an effective leadership, how can the government of the day carry citizens along? Aside from the fact that, carrying them along means campaigning to them to vote me into power, for presidency, for governorship elections, houses of assembly, local government elections, and all that. But how can, the government really engage citizens, be creative in engaging citizens and carrying them along in this leadership journey so that everybody is working together and we can have an all hands on deck situation, which is, the theme of the Nigeria at 65 commemoration?
Thank you. Your microphone's off. Your internet seems to go off every time you're speaking, but I would see off from what Dr. Usman said. Yes, and visionary leadership is one thing to have good leadership. Is another thing for the followership to do the right thing. And I think all this revolves around something he mentioned, and that is, it boils down to corruption. We talk about it every time, but as long as there's no consequence for bad behavior, we would always have a challenge with the elections and putting the right people into office. Because if I know that once I get into office, wrongfully or otherwise, all my actions in the past are forgiven, that when the administration of justice works correctly, you will find that there will be a great reduction in all the challenges we have. People who collect contracts will fulfill it. People who are in office know that if they leave office, as we can see in several countries, you could go to prison for things you did. In extreme situations, they're even sentenced to death. And the first thing to get it right, like I said, is that how do you get the administration of justice correctly? First of all, have good policemen, have enough men. Secondly, dealing with, we often say that the judiciary is corrupt, but the reason why they will be corrupt or could be corrupt is simple. They are poorly paid. But if you tie the salary of a judge to what a legislator is getting, for instance, a Court of Appeal judge is earning what a House of Rep member is earning. A Supreme Court judge earns the same thing as a senator, and we match their emolument and things to what they are getting, because the only reason why a man will be corrupt is fear of when I leave this job. But if they know that if they do this job well, at the end of their career, they will be comfortable. You will find that there'll be less reason to want to be corrupt. And if after that, you are given the right things, it happened in Lagos to be the most corrupt. But after the restructuring under the present president then, They increased the salary of judges, gave them emoluments for life, and you find that they brought in very young and bright lawyers into the judicial right. And people know that no matter how long you delay, courts will not waste time. Even the Bar Association disciplines lawyers who waste time and go to court just to drag matters. If there is that discipline in force, you will find that administration of justice will work faster.
But are you saying
the administration of justice?
Yeah, my apologies.
The size of the prisons, outsource prisons. Many more people will go to prison.
Well, Mr. Akinsho, perhaps
you will find that.
Yeah, perhaps one of the challenges we're dealing with here, and I'm glad the three of you joining us here are legal practitioners.
Yes.
Perhaps one of the challenges we are dealing with here is not just the rule of law. It's in the administration of justice itself, which has, one might say, bedeviled us for quite a while. Professor Wokocha raised an issue earlier about the substance of all of our conversation being the challenge of politics. Largely political. That's so. Prof, if you are there and you can hear me, how do we remediate that? How do we reverse that trend where our politics is the problem of our polity? Because if we are talking about leadership, talking about making progress, talking about all hands on deck, and talking about what Joker, my colleague here, just mentioned. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Now, I think the entire process of politics is a complex one, and it's naturally designed to be complex because you are dealing with a vast space, a vast territory that has different and complex people. And so rules are strict. Ideally, rules are strict for recruiting people into the public space. If the question is, how do we ensure that both the way we play politics and government policies reflects the will of the people and can move us forward, then you must go back to the issue of the operators. Leadership recruitment is key. If your goal and the destination to...
Wow.
Oh dear.
Which you are heading is effective government leadership recruitment process. As Doc has said, the leadership recruitment process at the moment is not what it should be. Those responsible for recruiting appear to be more interested in loyal persons. You have three branches of government, one side legislative.
We definitely have to do something about this network, Prof. I promise you, we definitely have to do something about it, because I know your views are usually very, very probing of our system. So, Dr. Osman, let me come to you on that. The leadership recruitment process, it has been some kind of bane over time, and I don't know if you will agree with that. You have also just spoken to the fact that there was a governor in the Second Republic that did amazing work. There are those who still reference the Second Republic governor in Lagos also, by the way. I would personally reference the governor of Oyo State in the Second Republic, because I am one of a few people who benefited from the free education policy of the government of the day in Oyo State at the time. So yes, but then we can't go back to 1979, Dr. Usman. We have to stay where we are and look forward. So if we have a problem with leadership recruitment process, what would you say is the problem? For instance, to be president, you don't even need to pass WAEC according to the Constitution. You only need to attempt it. But if you want to get a job in the civil service, level 6, the lowest, maybe one of the lowest levels in civil service, you have to be a graduate. But to govern the entire country, you only need to attempt basic secondary school education. That's a question right there, isn't there? So would you say, among other things, the problem of the leadership recruitment process we have is that of our Constitution?
problems because the benchmark constitution in terms of education is really, really low, given the current times that we live in, the fourth industrial revolution. Talking about people that have basic qualification of secondary school, or even its equivalent that is interpreted to mean ability to speak, write and speak to the satisfaction of the commission, not even having school certificate, if you look at the interpretation constitution under section 318 of the Constitution. So we need some drastic and purposive constitutional amendment to raise the bar in terms of education. Let certain critical positions of leadership, especially executive and even legislature, be raised to the level of at least a degree. That will help a lot in ensuring that even if you want to put somebody that can be controlled, at least with more education, the tendency for the person to be manipulated will be reduced to the barest minimum. And then the aspect of electoral reforms also, we still have not gotten it right with electoral reforms. Whenever reforms are made, sometimes because of the way they are implemented and also the interpretation of those rules will take us back again. Like in the last election, we made progress by ensuring that IREP was used, it was deployed, and it was effective. But most of the elections that were returned were from manual collation of results without comparing on what is on the IREP. And then when the matters went to tribunals, the courts decided that that is not incumbent on INEC. INEC can decide to rely on manual transmission and collection of results. So until and unless we get our electoral reforms right, we also look at the qualification for election and even some disqualification for election that has been lowered through certain decisions. All those aspects need to be revisited. For instance, issues of certificate forgery arising from different names have now been lowered by the doctrine of variation of names, so that people that have used qualifications that are not theirs have gotten away with it.
Well, just a quick one.
Sincerity.
Dr. Usman, we're just getting some information now that there have been attempts by the National Assembly to unfortunately, unsuccessful attempts to review that process where of the educational qualification of elected officials. And we understand that recent efforts to raise the minimum requirement from a school cert to a university degree or equivalent have been introduced in both the House of Reps and the Senate. But then I'm not sure how far we have gone with that. We all know that there's another process ongoing now. What would be your advocacy, or I don't know, what would you say is a compulsion that must be considered in this regard, Dr. Usman?
Yes, advocacy will help in pushing forward the constitutional amendment. Sometimes also if we can have a purposive interpretation by the courts, a sort of judicial activism. Certain aspects of the Constitution can be looked at holistically, like when the Supreme Court wanted to validate the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000, they crystallized the provision of Chapter 2 of the Constitution that deals with fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, even though we know it is not justicial. but the Supreme Court married the exclusive legislative list, item 68, that said anything incidental or supplemental to those items from 1 to 67 that have been listed is a ground on which the National Assembly can activate the duties of the state under Chapter 2 of Abolition Corruption to enact the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act. So if we can have such kind of purposive interpretation in areas where there are deadlock in the National Assembly because of self-interest, because members that are there, a lot of them, if the bar is raised, will feel threatened because they may not come back. So they'll rather not support that provision than allow it to go scot-free.
Okay, just a quick one.
Nigerians have been complaining about our constitutional structure. There are certain provisions of the Constitution that really are difficult to amend.
And it also goes back to the politician, unfortunately, Dr. Osman. But let me quickly ask Mr. Akintosun this one. Do you think we're over-focusing, or have, in this republic in particular, over-focused on the federal government, thereby making it better, as opposed to our attention to what's happening in the subnationals, the states and the local governments, administrations? Mr. Akintosun, that's for you.
Yes, I think a lot of attention, sometimes unnecessary, is put on the federal government, or more than necessary. A lot of other things can happen from the states. And if every state is managing its own infrastructure properly, you will find that the bad roads is not only the federal government that controls infrastructure of roads. States can do a lot more in making sure that administration and the relationship of the people to governance is much better. In terms of provision of potable water, it is not the federal government that will do that. It is the states that will do that as well. So you find that a lot of the times, I mentioned the Lagos State Judiciary. Doctor mentioned Sokoto State. It was a much better place under a visionary leader. We had the same thing under Jakonde in Lagos. The infrastructure and the legacy he left behind still goes a long way. Within the 4 years he had as governor, things that he did still last forever. So if the states were a lot more involved in doing things properly, then you'll find that the pressure on the center will be reduced. However, the center still controls a lot of the finances. If 55% or so of the general revenue of the country sits in Abuja, there is a lot more that can be achieved if the center applied the finances to the proper purposes as well.
Right. Still with you, Mr. Akintosun. There seems to be, a lot of talk about, something you just said, a major focus on the government at the center to do a lot of things. But in actual fact, people need still, if we want to take a look at, development in Nigeria, where we're coming from, how far we've come, what we still need to do. A lot of things has happened in recent times, like, for instance, the new law that frees up local governments to do their things, to have their own monies, to control whatever aspect of governance they need to control. There was a lot of, fisticuffs fights here to ensure that that doesn't happen. But hey, the current administration has ensured that that happens. So, and we need to begin to ask questions. I know states control education in some parts, local government has aspects of governance that they can control. So if everybody does their part, doesn't that mean that we can actually begin to see the development that we should be seeing? Another aspect is, the call for state policing. If every state has their own police infrastructure and they can police their states as they should, then maybe insecurity will come down a little bit. So can we begin to look at these, three arms, three levels of government to now, before we start asking the question, are we developed? Are we going backwards? Are we moving forwards? Because if everybody does what they're supposed to do, and then we now come around every year to look at how far Nigeria has gone, maybe Nigeria is 66, for instance, we can say, okay, this is what we've done and this is how far we've come. And then everybody is responsible for what they're supposed to be doing. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, let's see if Dr. Wokocha will be able to take that as well.
Well, I think your technical, the technical situation is quite terrible. I did not get over 60% of what she was saying. But if we are looking at how to get the institutions work better despite our recruitment process, I think we need to realize that the recruitment process determines how effective the institutions can be. The ideal goal everywhere is that institutions that have been established should be effective and independent. But if the recruitment process is one that will put people in places that are loyal and not people who will deliver on the objective of the institutions, then you will have the kind of problems we have. If a supervisor is to think things are getting better, rather than querying and supervising the officer he is to supervise, you can be sure that you won't get the expected outcome from the institution that supervisor heads. So I think it's a long shot, but we need to find a way, because the issue of wrong recruitment process has led to ineffective institutions and to our present calamity where the public space has been privatized. And I think I would like to say that with emphasis. These failures have led to a situation where the public space is privatized completely. You can no longer speak with certainty about what the laws are and what the courts will say, especially at the apex court. You cannot with confidence teach that now or say that. You cannot with confidence expect that the legislature will do its work of scrutinizing the actions of the executive and come up with critical questions and critical conclusions that will correct errors on the part of the executive. So I think the entire system at the moment appears to be messed up. And we need to find a way to free the institutions and enable them function independently.
Talking about,
we can do that, directive will always come from the top and will always come from the executive, from the head executive unit to all the other units. And so you will get what is desired by the presidency and not what the institutions were established to do.
Talking about institutions and allowance to do what they're supposed to do, Festus Akimboyewa is he sent a message about 30 minutes ago on X, and in part, it says there's no reason why we Nigerians should not celebrate Independence Day, even if it's only to honor the sacrifices of those who fought our independence. But he now said this: the fact that we are still united and making steady progress calls for more celebration. We are now producing vehicles, computers, military equipment, including drones, and many more which should be celebrated. We will surely overcome insecurity and other challenges facing us as a nation. Do you share his joy, Professor Wokocha?
I do not, Ayo. Ayo, we need to know that telecommunications and a lot of the indices with which we are saying society has improved are not our product. They chase you, they chase it. They are traversing the entire world. Even if you hide in your village, they will come and advertise and you will buy. So these are not examples of how our system is working well. Profit is locating us for the benefit of those who are producing them.
I think the point he's making, Prof. I think the point he's making. I think the point he's making, Prof, is that with the imported vehicle, the imported technology, as you said, we are now in-house, as opposed to what existed later, where we imported all of our vehicles. We are now producing some locally. Computers, the same thing. There was a time all we did was import, but even though we are still importing some elements, we are producing them locally. He also spoke to military equipment as well, which of course the Nigerian military is very, very proud of, that we're now producing some of these things like drones and a number of those things as well. It didn't exist until recently, Prof. So you don't think we should celebrate that? Even if it's just a little bit?
To that extent, I agree with him completely. Whatever you can trace to what we are doing, to our own action, is an indication of gain and progress. And our directive should be ensuring that the bulk of what we do, both in national policy and individual lives, revolves around what we produce. It's only then that you can say you are making progress, and not when you are an extended market that is simply putting profit in the hands of profit seekers outside your territory and outside your environment. So I agree with him to the extent that with respect to whatever we are producing, where we can say, yes, these are landmarks that we have made and things we are producing, providing services and attending to our needs, I will agree with him that that would be an optimistic thing to celebrate.
Right. Dr. Usman, this is for you. Another comment from a viewer. He says, good morning. Since we can't rule out the importance and hands of the Almighty God in our individual and national lives, we must be thankful for so far so good hitherto, as God help us. We are not where we were in the last couple of years in every aspect of our national lives. We are gradually fumbling and wobbling to the promised land. Let us be focused and hopeful. That's from Samuel in Lagos. Well, he's a bit optimistic, I must say. But what do you think of his, fumbling and wobbling to the promised land?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, Doctor. Yes, I did say that question was for you. The comment from the viewer, yes.
I did not hear you well.
All right.
Can you come again?
Okay, so the viewer said, commenting on the situation, said, we can't rule out the importance and hands of Almighty God in our individual and national lives. We must be thankful so far, so good hitherto, as God help us. We are not where we were in the past or in the last couple of years in every aspect of our national lives. We are gradually fumbling and wobbling to the promised land. Let us be focused and hopeful.
There's still technical glitch. I cannot hear you well, but it appears as if you are asking of a way forward out of our current problems. And if I may say so, at 65, Nigeria stands at a crossroad, and to fulfill its destiny, we must look at our democratic journey also. We must strengthen the democratic processes in terms of election that we mentioned, leadership recruitment, to have purposeful leadership, visionary leadership that has the interests of the nation at heart. We have to also ensure that we revive the economy by doing more in terms of addressing infrastructure, especially working on what will directly affect the common citizen. The common citizens are more concerned if transportation is fixed, if there is food security. Once government can give more attention to this, these are things that affects the people directly. Anything that concerns transportation has to be looked at and taken care of, not just in terms of roads, but even in access to alternative means of transport, so that movement of people and goods will be made easy, and economic activity can be optimized through that method. We have to also invest in our youth, because our youth constitutes 60% of our population, especially those under the age of 30. So we need to do more about empowerment. We have to do also a lot in terms of promoting unity, because at the national level, sometimes we are bedeviled by nepotism. We are bedeviled by looking at certain indices that are not really neutral indices. Like sometimes you look at where a person comes from, not what he can offer. We need to do more on that. And one way the nation can benefit from that is to overcome our tribal prejudices and religious prejudices that sometimes becloud the reasoning of leaders in terms of decisions. In the place where I come from, the Caliphate, we have a model that was put in place by Sheikh Usman bin Fodio. When he came in, what he did, unlike what others do whenever they bring change in an environment, make sure that they force their language and culture, and the people adopted Hausa as a language. He encouraged intermarriage between Hausas and Fulani. That is why in the north today, you hear people talking about Hausa Fulani. There are more Hausa Fulanis than Hausas, stricto sensu, or Fulanis. So if we can do something like that at the national level to promote national unity and integration, for government to come up with programs to, incentivize even citizens that take to cross-cultural marriages, so that in some years to come, no Nigerian will be looked at based on where he comes from.
And I like, Prof, beg your pardon, Dr. Usman, I like the fact that you've already looked at the future, and that is speaking to cross-generational trajectory. So let me bring that to Mr. Akinshon. I think one of the challenges we have seen over time is in our communication, or a lack of it, with the citizens. Joke here earlier was asking about citizen participation, and you made a few comments, and I'd like you to expatiate a little further. Because the challenge here, one of the challenges of being able to carry Nigerians along, is that they don't even know what is happening. People don't even understand. People literally have to glean, scavenge for information. Information, not communication. And we all know that information is not communication. The fact that you give me information does not mean that you have communicated with me. So how do we achieve that communication in a way that people will own the process? You are not unaware, for instance, and I hope you can hear me well, Dr. Akinshon, of a situation where there are developmental infrastructure created for the people, but the same people go vandalize those things. Perhaps because they don't even understand what this whole thing is about. No communication with them for them to be able to own the process. So how do you propose we go about communicating with the people to the point that they understand and they own the process, Mr. Akinshon?
Thanks. I heard you for some thought, and I saw your empathy in asking the question. And first part of it I get is, how can citizens, how can we own the process and be a part of this? And my first response is that we generally need to be more interested in what is going on around us. Starting from voting, many of us are only interested in voting at elections if we take any interest at all in determining who leads us. But we need to backtrack a bit more and get involved in the politics. We all say it is dirty, we all say it is tough, but unless we take active participation in determining who our candidates will be, and that is by getting involved at politics at the grassroots. I know a lawyer now who left London and came back to Nigeria and says what she wants to do is to do politics at grassroots. She has gone to her local government and joined the party there. People ask her, what are you doing? Are you crazy? But she says that, look, this is what I want to do now. We all cannot sit down and complain without getting actively involved. And no matter how busy we are, if we don't involve ourselves in the selection of our leadership from the grassroots, the more people that get involved. We say those that are there are not educated, they are not, but the truth is that if the educated ones don't go, the less educated will take control. But if more of the educated are joining the fray and throwing their cap in the ring, it may be difficult, it may be slow, but we have to do that backward integration for us to be able to break away the shackles that have held us. I think that would be the first step we need to do. Secondly, apart from engaging the process, we now need to be drivers in the system. How can we keep the system corruption-free? It starts from you and I. The truth is that everyone who gives or who takes, everybody starts at a point to say, if you can't beat the system, join them. What are we doing to change it? And it starts from orientation. Many of us need to go back and say, what can I do better than I'm doing now? But until we check ourselves,
well, you know, while I understand, I apologize, Mr. Kyosho. Yeah, I apologize for butting in if you can hear me.
Mr. Not doctor yet, but I take the promotion.
Okay, I think that's what every Nigerian also was here. Some optimistic, something to look forward to. But the point that I'm trying to make, Mr. Kyosho, is people follow examples. They follow leadership. And in the space of communication in particular, we don't get it. Government officials have confirmed that government does not know how to significantly, adequately communicate as much as they ought to. Corporate organizations, they trickle down the thing so well over time that people own the process. But people can't own something they don't understand, Mr. Kyosho. They can't own the process if they don't understand it. And the only way they can understand it is to be communicated with. If we create infrastructure, maybe I should take that to me, Professor Wokocha. If we create a process that people don't understand, how can they own it? The only way for people, I understand, the only way people can own a process is if we communicate with them. But if we just let it slide and we don't communicate with them, we don't relate with them the way they ought to, they would love to be related with in a way that they can own the process, they can't. Same goes for every state government in the country. So how do we walk around that communication debacle, Professor Wokocha?
Well, the people may be very desirous to control the process. The people may be desirous of driving the process, and that is how it should be. But I think we have a challenge that is beyond the people, and that challenge is in how the process is undertaken. If you ask an average Nigerian now on the way to ensuring effective recruitment process, public officers recruitment process, or leaders or leadership recruitment process, he will tell you the emphasis needs not be on mobilizing people to come and vote. The emphasis needs to be on controlling the process. Because our experience now shows that it is not how much people turn out, and it is not how much people vote that determines who emerges. But those who write the results and who control the process of writing an announcement of results. I think we need consciously to see how we can reduce human interface and interference in the political process. Reforms need to be driven towards the possibility of a full electronic process, and I've said this for the upting time that There is no reason why you cannot have a complete electronic process. You do it with your funds in the bank and in your banking. You do it with your communications, even now in Nigeria. And there is no reason why you can't do it in the voting process or as a voting process until we can take that process away from those who are interested persons who are in leadership positions, who appoint the officers who will carry out the process and who determine who will sit and judge over it. Until we are able to reduce their interface or interference with the process, I am afraid that people will recruit, go to the electoral places and cast all the votes they want to cast, and they will always be shocked with the result that will be announced. So I think we need to look at it from the point of our experience and lay emphasis or put more energy on the area that will make sense, that will solve the problem that we are facing. And that, for me, is, for now, possibly seeing how we can increase reforms to full electronic voting system. It doesn't mean it will be foolproof, but it will leave signatures, and it will make the process of determining whether a process has been right or wrong easier to determine if our courts will be independent and will act with public interest and not under control of some forces.
Right. So, Mr. Akinshun, if I can come back to you on that, he has unpacked a lot of things about the processes in the lead up to, us getting ready for elections, the campaigning, how we select our leaders, and what have you. What suggestions do you have going forward? Do you have experienced a lot of these processes? I don't know if you've voted or not, if you've participated. Everybody has a right, to do what they want, but the advocacy is that everybody should participate in the voting process. So, in the things that you have seen in the last couple of years, how the electoral umpire has, performed their duties at the state level and at the federal level. What have you seen that you think that we can do better going forward? Maybe it's the way that the logistics of the election processes, and I think I will say the horror that the electoral officials usually go through in transporting election materials to the places where people are going to vote. Sometimes people wait for hours to get their votes in. In some areas, they don't even vote at all. And we hear people calling and say election results have been announced and all that. It seems to be such a tedious process. And people really, sometimes, as much as we say we've improved on the technology, people still do not have confidence in this election process, which some label as selection process. So what do you suggest going forward on how to make these things better? That's to you, Mr. Akinshun.
Okay, we're not getting Mr. Akinshun. Well, okay, maybe we'll take the final words from you gentlemen. A quick final words from you, Dr. Usman, and then we go around the room. What next? If you could give a to-do list, just lists, no explanation, Dr. Usman. The president, the federal government has said all hands on deck towards a greater nation. That's the theme of this 65th anniversary of our independence. What would be your to-do list that every Nigerian or even the federal government or the state governments must do today towards that theme?
Well, Nigeria is a nation in transition. Nigeria has been resilient, has shown some level of resilience, notwithstanding myriads of problems that have beset it as a nation. It is a work in progress, and all hands must be on deck.
Okay.
We have to improve on all aspects from the constitutional framework. We have to be purposeful and ensure that we have a purposeful constitution, which will ensure that all the necessary tools that are required for good governance, entrenching it. Presently, we are making efforts again at constitutional amendment. There are about 83 bills. We hope the provisions will be people-oriented, not self-sided.
Okay.
And then we also have to look at our institution. Like the Prof said, judiciary has to also wake up, because currently, given the judgments that are churning out of our courts, especially the attitude of the Apex Court to some proceedings or processes that are before them, leave much to be desired. So we need to find a way
around that
to ensure that we streamline decisions, because currently there are so many conflicting decisions on almost every issue.
All right, Dr. Usman, I apologize, we really have to go. So let me take the comments of Professor Wokocha again. You have 30 seconds. What must we begin to do now towards that declaration of the federal government about how we celebrate the 65th? That's for you, Prof.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I think all hands on deck is a desirable one, but the deck must be a deck, and the deck should be a place where all extended hands expect to meet a deck in which they can do what they can, play the role they can to make the entire system better. I am afraid we need to do all we can. All hands must go to the deck to decolonize the deck and deprivatize the deck, make it back a public deck where every citizen can, with all honesty, do their little best to make his country better.
Prof,
I think this is the direction we need to go.
You're asking for a very, very big deck right there, because on the I thought it would just be a deck for, like, say, 36 governors, and then the president making 37, and maybe 38, the minister of the Federal Republic. But now you are asking for a deck of 200 million. Okay. Anyway, let me ask, what are your thoughts, Mr. Akioshun, if all hands must be on deck, what's the immediate to do for you?
The immediate, as emphasized for me, is that once we need to work on our administration of justice. The EFCC is doing a lot, but first thing you find is that the courts are congested. I was in the Court of Appeal earlier this week. In the Lagos division only, they have almost, is it 180,000 or 3 million live cases that appeals have been waiting since 2003 that have not been heard. So the courts are loaded. If you go to the Federal High Court in Lagos, the courtrooms are stacked high with the judge getting over 100,000 cases. It is not possible that they can be detailed if they have that kind of workload. We have to increase the number of judges, and the way we'll increase judges is by making the remuneration attractive. It's not a mouth thing, but people will work hard when they are well paid. Then you can demand transparency. You can demand more from them. If a senator wants to bribe a judge and they're earning the same, it's not likely to listen to him. But if my salary is, if my take-home pay is still a joke, at the end of the day, anything that will secure my future and my children's future, they will take it. So we need to restructure that well and make sure that everybody, I mean, even the president is clamoring for more pay. And you find that people are saying, why does the president need more pay? Because all expenses are paid. But the truth is that as long as your pay doesn't take you home, it will always be difficult. So we need to make sure we restructure from there. Administration of justice.
You have struck, Mr. Akinoshun, at the very heart of the rule of law, because there can be no rule of law if those who will enforce the rule of law are so poorly remunerated. But thank you so much for your thoughts this morning. Mr. Dapakian Oshun is a senior advocate of Nigeria and founding and senior partner at Summons Cooper Partners. We've also had Dr. Sulaiman Osman, senior advocate of Nigeria and Life Bencher. We thank you so much for your thoughts, as well as Professor Richard Wakocha, Professor of Public Law, Rivers State University. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your thoughts and your perspectives this morning. We appreciate your time.
May God bless Nigeria as a fight.
Amen. Yeah. So when we return, we continue our conversation this morning on Sunrise. So stay with us.
Welcome back, everyone, and we're on our lifestyle segment this morning.
You'll be wondering why it's coming early.
It's coming early. We want to help you, really.
We want to emulate. Sorry.
It's a one issue that affects, everybody. It's managing and maximizing stress.
I understand the managing part.
I don't know. It's maximizing.
But it's the maximizing that we've heard it said that stress is good.
Yes.
Well, a little stress is good. They even say there is something called good stress.
Yes.
And then there is bad stress.
I know some people that they thrive on the adrenaline drive. If the adrenaline is not pumping, they can't function effectively. So they're always rushing 5 minutes to things, 2 minutes to deadlines.
So they won't be creative without it. Maybe that is their own way of maximizing.
And to help us manage, see how we can manage or maximize or both our stress this morning, we have Dr. Perpetua Mbanefo. She joins us in the studio. Glad to have you coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I saw your adrenaline pumping as you were coming
here. Because they had to fish me from where I was kept to bring me here. So, we had to. So but that's not enough to qualify for stress.
Oh, really?
Not really, though. Yeah. I didn't have to run a race.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So is that what stress is about? You have to run a race?
Not really. But the thing is, stress is a part of life.
Yeah.
Right? Even a baby is under stress sometimes, whether it's when they are hungry, when they are wailing for their mother, or a child trying to read for exams, or a
child trying to be born.
Thank you.
Yes,
that's some form of stress. But again, the thing with it is that it's a physiologic process. It's a part of life, right? So is the body trying to handle whether it's pressure or tension or challenges, right? But the thing with stress is a little bit of it for a short duration of time is very good for the body. But when it is prolonged and when it is quite heightened, then it becomes toxic. So I hear you talk about good stress before we started, but yes, there is good stress, and then stress can also be toxic, which is why we're here, really.
Not just bad, but toxic.
Yeah, it can be toxic.
Okay. Now, first of all, tell us about the good stress, because it's always good to start with good news. Tell us about the good stress and how people have been using it unknown to them.
Okay, so, like I said, it's a physiologic process. Stress is good when it's, of course, for a short period of time, and it's not so much that it overwhelms the body's ability to handle it. So we all face pressure or tension. Let's say I had to drive down from the island to get here. Let's say there was a lot of traffic, I'm sweating, I'm hot and all of that. That's some form of stress or tension or pressure. Right? Let's say you're preparing for a deadline or you want to submit a project, which you're very familiar with, by the way. And you just got...
Very familiar with.
I know. And you just got a short time to do that, right? So that is a good stress. So what happens is that the body kind of senses that, you need to do this, and, you have cortisol going and you have adrenaline pumping, and it just stimulates the body that we have either something to achieve, so you're either in a mood of flight or fight. But the good thing is that it helps you achieve certain goals in life, especially when it's short and healthy. So that's why some people say stress can make you healthier, happier. Really, it can.
All right.
When it's managed and, when it's short and not for a long duration of time.
All right. So, but when you say, stress is good for that's the good stress. And you have you have talked about how it helps you achieve some, short-term goals.
Yeah.
But that's in, the achieving goals thing. What about for the body itself, right? Why is stress good for the body, even as short a term as it might be? What happens to your physiological being with good stress? Let me put it that way.
Okay, so generally, of course, we know the cortisol is the hormone that helps you drive things, and adrenaline, it helps your heart pump, so many other things happen. So it is good in a sense because all these are working together to just get the body going.
Metabolism.
Yes, both your metabolism and all that. But the most important thing is, because this is for a short term and it's not toxic per se, the body is able to fuel you enough to get you through that. Okay, let me tell you, let's say they release the head of cows now. We'll run, right?
Yes.
So it's good because it's saving your life at this instant.
Right.
You're flying or fighting as the case may be. So that is an acute stress. Your cortisol, adrenaline and all that coming, and you're flying for your dear life. So that is safe, right? So that's why it's good in this instance. It's also good in a lot of other ways. For instance, a child, somebody that has exams to write, or you have a deadline, or you have a goal to meet, stress enables you to become that person that you need to be to get those things that will make you better or happier or healthier.
So essentially,
for instance, exercise. It's a form of stress though, but it's healthy for the body.
So essentially you're saying, excuse me, that good stress is short-termed, it's focused, it's purpose-driven, and it is productive.
Yeah.
So at what point does good stress become bad?
Okay, now remember we talked about cortisol being good for you and adrenaline being good for you and all of that in the acute period. However, what happens is that when this is unchecked, you're no longer able to adapt. It becomes prolonged. That's when it becomes chronic and it gets to the state of being toxic.
Boss, some people enjoy walking. That is why we call them workaholic.
I do.
Okay.
Same here.
Oh, you are one of them. Okay.
I am.
Good. So now, but the question that I'm asking is, so first of all, how does stress work, whether it's good or bad? How is it produced? How does the process of stress start? You get a task. Is that the question? The first thing, you get a task, you set a task for yourself, and then you mobilize all of your internal resources towards it. Is that the way it works?
Not essentially, though.
Okay.
I would say it's a way of life. It's part of our physiologic making, sort of. A child that is trying to stool, but maybe that's hard. It's undergoing that pressure, tension to overcome that
So
stool.
almost every human activity has a bit of stress.
It can be accompanied by a bit of stress.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, where it gets tricky or dangerous, if I can use the term, is when you can't escape the stress. Is that what you're saying?
When you're no longer able to adapt and regulate the stress, which means that the stressors are consistently present.
How does that happen?
It does.
You close at 5. What time do you close? You close at 5 p.m. No, I'm not talking about you because you don't close. You close. You get to the office at 9. What they call 9 to 5. So, if you close at 5 p.m., ideally, shouldn't your stress reduce at that time?
Okay, now let's say it's because you're assuming the person's stress is coming from their work, right?
Okay.
But there are various ways that we are put under stress.
Okay.
It can be work, it can be your environment, it can be children that are in either a war zone, famine, that are undergoing challenges, whether it's from natural disaster, it can be from illness. Chronic illness puts you in a state of chronic stress. It can be that you had an accident. It mustn't be that work has closed by 5. Okay. And by the way, some people close work from 5, but still are not off work.
Yeah.
And the events of work does not immediately terminate because you have left work. It doesn't mean the stresses have ended.
Especially since 2020. Don't worry, I understand.
But some people are very good at regulating their minds to say, you know what, I'm currently not under flight or threat. There's no reason to be afraid. I'm no longer facing that deadline at the moment. Work has closed. I can relax, breathe easy. And then they can, you know, those hormones and all of that, adrenaline and cortisol can, you know,
so I've heard
go down a bit.
I've heard this said, Dr. Mbalefa. I've heard people say, he's stressing me or she's stressing me. So stress can come not just from activities, but from people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Which is why, of course, they tell you that one of the number one things that makes for longevity is the quality of the relationships you have in your life, right? Studies have shown the quality. Not only will they support you, help you control your stress and all that, but they help you become healthier, happier, and a better individual.
Okay.
To undergo those stressors that you have normally.
So, Doc.
Yes.
I want to pinch you.
Go ahead.
No, I don't know whether it's stress, but I want to pinch you.
I'm built to manage
so,
that, yeah.
Let's imagine that in a particular relationship, I'm not mentioning any kind of relationship. Could be parent, child, father, daughter, father, son, mother, son, mother. It could be husband, wife, husband.
Or co-anchor.
It could be co-anchor, yes, thank you very much.
It stresses me out, honestly.
But you just feel that every time this person is calling you, you are feeling
pressure,
stressed or pressure.
Yeah,
pressure.
It's also referred to as pressure. Yeah.
Do you avoid that person?
No, really, though. But the thing is this.
And that I cannot avoid my stress. No.
The thing is this.
Toxic stress.
So the thing is this. That's why we always tell people, you need to evaluate your stressors and really identify them for what they are. If this individual is truly toxic and is someone you're having to be with or be around for a longer duration of time and is affecting your mental health, whether it's making you anxious, anxiety, depressed, or whether it's making you lose sleep, because stress can also make you unable to eat well, sleep well, and other things, then you need to evaluate, is this environment, is this work healthy for me at this point? Again, what I also advise people to do at the work is to have a chat with your team. Now they have employee wellness programs where you can talk to your, whether it's your reports or your manager, to say, hey, I am going through this. I have been going through this. I need to talk to a therapist. I think this. And then they can evaluate. Should they move you to a different department?
No.
If that doesn't work, you can't call it a day.
You have identified the one of work. But we're saying, yes. I'm asking about one that you cannot avoid.
Is it a partner relationship?
Even a partner relationship. Because your child is also, all kinds of relationships that you cannot run away from.
Okay, now that can absolutely be regulated and be managed. Let me give you an instance. So I have 2 teenagers. So
congratulations.
I'm
trying to imagine.
And a mouthful. Anyway, so sometimes initially I found myself running with their pace, trying to be everything and everything. I want to be a best friend, I want to be a mother, and still be a doctor to them. So sometimes when I get back from work, I'm depleted, in all honesty. I don't feel like I want to be anything.
Tell me about it.
So it's okay to check out and go to your room or somewhere and lock yourself in. That is because I have older kids and I've got support at home. But if you've got no support and the kids are small and you've got a partner, ask your partner for support. Sometimes people think I can be it all, do it all to everyone, but you're dying inside. I always tell people, fill up your cup. And that filling up your cup might not just be all the spa and pampering. It might just be taking a break from the children, from the husband, to say, you know what, I just need a me time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Have you read the book, Making It Big? One of my friends was saying, Uju, you see, he takes 1 week a day to rest, to recharge. I say, babe, we don't have 1 week, but you can take 15 minutes of your day to evaluate yourself. How am I truly feeling? Why am I snapping at my husband or my partner? Why am I yelling at the children? Do you understand? Why am I so anxious? Why am I too angry or having outbursts? You need to evaluate that, but to do that, you need to take yourself off that environment. You can still be within the same space.
But you said something now,
yes,
that sometimes some people are not able to regulate. I have been told of years ago of a woman who all of her life revolved around her child. And we also know of people, you may have met some of them, whose entire lives revolve around being everything to everyone.
Yeah.
We know of people who have failed in their relationship with their children. Now they're doing everything they can to make up for lost time. So they focus a lot on that one, even though the children are being quote unquote stressors. They feel they owe it to the kids, to those children, to spend more time, take all of the stress and everything, while they themselves could be dying inside. It's a pathetic situations of, say, for instance, a parent, father or mother, who has a chronic condition that's, who is already dying, of that particular thing, but wants to make sure that they leave a good memory with that child while they're dying, and the child is even unsympathetic, covertly or overtly, about their situation. How do you manage those kinds of stressors? I'm just painting this, gory situations. You talked about a partner, a parent that has a partner. What if the parent doesn't have a partner and the child is a stressor? So those are things that I'd like you to look at, because you said something when we had a conversation before this program, that we can not only manage our stress, we can also maximize them. So it all takes balance, and that balance can be really difficult.
Yeah, it's quite tough to achieve. Even for myself, it's an ongoing process. And for different people, they face different kind of stress, whether it's based off of their relationship, their family dynamics, their environment, their level of education or poverty, people face different kind of stress. Now, for this particular picture you're facing, a lot of people are actually living with high levels of stress. Now, the thing is this, we need to begin to realize that until you have truly taken care of you, you can truly take care of another. And what most parents do when they try to be it all and do it all, even though they should have taken a break, is that they get to the point where they start snapping or raising their voice or getting easily irritated by their kids, when they should have said, you know what, you go ahead and play, I need to take a nap, or I need to go for a walk, I need to sleep, or something. We need to come to that place. Because what I tell people a lot is that you were you, and she is she, before you became a parent, right? So that should not be taken out of the equation, because you're striving to be a good parent, quote unquote, okay? And the thing now is that kids will recognize it when a parent, especially a mother, is happy and when she's stressed. They'll recognize it when a mother is prioritizing her well-being versus when she is overly trying to please and do that, she's a super mom and all that. They recognize it. And what we don't know now is that they take it, or what we don't think, that we think kids don't see it, but they see it. And in fact, this impacts on their life when they grow to become adults, because they see their parents doing it differently, taking time to rest. If you want to stress them, say, you know what, not now. You have to set boundaries, even with your partners, even with work. It's not all the time you're answering work mails. Not now.
I wanted to say that I saw something online. I'm sure it was meant to be a joke of some sort.
Yeah.
And so a lady walks into our office in the morning, and the supervisor goes, have you done the work that we asked you to do? He said, what work? I'm just coming in. He said, we sent you a mail He said, oh, he sent me a mail after 5 p.m. Oh, I didn't see it. Saying, but our clients require that we do clinical 24/7. He said, but you don't pay me 24/7. And then the other person goes, oh, but sometimes we are required to do work for 24/7 if our client requires it. And she goes, well, if you pay me 24/7, then I will ensure I answer my mails after 5 p.m.
That sounds like Veronica.
Yes, it is Veronica.
The thing to note in that is, beyond just the paying you to go beyond the work schedule, it's also prioritizing your time, because again, you need to have a flow or some equilibrium that work doesn't completely eat into your personal and family life.
What if, Dr. Mbanefo, and I think I have seen this because I'm very, very observant, particularly of my friends, of my acquaintances. What if, because I sense that sometimes people use work or activity to fill up their time so they don't worry or they don't give attention to certain things that they are, quote unquote, running away from or trying to avoid. What's your, you may have also encountered that in
I'm sorry, I think that sometimes that has to do when people are grieving and they take some time off work and then they go back and say that I don't want to think about that situation, so they use work to I think it aligns with what you're saying.
So the thing is this, human beings tend to do a series of things just to either because they're afraid, they don't want to be alone, or they don't want to be with their self alone, or they don't want to think about things they don't want to think about, or they're just filling up their free time with busy work, right? And again, you said grief. Yes, it happens. Not typically peculiar with grief, but it's just peculiar to human beings and our poor attempts at being productive or being busy, right? I always say it, occupying your time with so many things doesn't make you effective, right? And it's also not a coping mechanism for stress. Do you understand? So because stress in itself needs you to understand that beyond just that present event or activity that is making you feel you're under tension or you're under pressure or you're being challenged, beyond that, you can learn to de-stress or regulate your mind to understand at this present time, this is how I'm feeling. So, and to do that, a person needs to be self-aware. You need to be mindful. The moment you start snapping, the moment you start forgetting things, the moment you start being confused, you're not thinking properly, you're not sleeping well, you're having anxiety or depression, or your heart rate is high, or your blood pressure is high. Some of these things are actually the impacts of stress. And by stress, I mean chronic or toxic stress. You see someone having hypertension, having high heart rate, and then maybe becoming diabetic, or even becoming obese because they are stressed and so they're eating irregularly or eating poor kind of
stress,
food.
Bad stress, if I can put it that way, leads to other chronic conditions.
It does. It's a major driver for poor health outcome, especially cardiovascular problem, obesity, diabetes, and so many other things.
Now you know. So, two quick takeaways. Number one, fear could be an inducement for stress, but it is not good for the body. That's one of the things you just said now, right?
Fear in itself, you need to understand why I'm actually feeling afraid. Yeah, sometimes the mind replays the old events, and you're constantly feeling like you're currently under fear.
Leading to the other thing that you said, that you need to evaluate yourself, evaluate the situation.
Exactly.
So homework for you this morning. Sit down, evaluate. So says Dr. Perpetua Mbanefo, who is a general physician. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yes. And how about ways people should cope with stress?
Part 2. We'll see you. So we'll be right back after now. Thanks for being with us.
Now we're almost on our home stretch, but not quite. 11 a.m. here in Lagos, and Our next topic is Runway Jazz 2025. And you may wonder what this is all about. Well, Runway Jazz is Nigeria's premier jazz and lifestyle event, merging high fashion, world-class music, and impactful conversations. In 2025, we welcome the globally acclaimed JLCO with Wynton Marsalis to headline an unforgettable experience. And to talk all about this and give us more perspective and give us the bigger picture about this event is Afolabi Oke, Ambassador, African Union, 6th Region to Nigeria, ECOWAS. And he joins us virtually. A warm welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Fine. I'm very well, thank you. Well,
I hope you can hear me all right.
I can hear you quite nicely. We started with rains here in Lagos State, and we started with rains here in Lagos State, and then it's become bright, and I hope the weather stays that way, really, because I love the sun sometimes. So tell us more about the Runway Jazz 2025. What's the significance of the theme, Timeless Return, for Runway Jazz 2025, and how will it be reflected in the event's programming?
Amazing. Runway Jazz 2025 is themed the Timeless Return, because we are having one of the best jazz saxophonists in the world by name Wynton Marsalis, who is leading about 28-man band from the Jazz at Lincoln Center in New York. They arrive on the 3rd of October. The American Embassy will be hosting them on the 4th. And then on the 5th, we will have the main concert at the Landmark Center starting 5 p.m. prompt till whenever we're done. It's going to be an amazing event that nobody really wants to miss.
So quick one then. Perhaps one of the issues to ask questions around would be how is this significant for us as a people, particularly in terms of cultural diplomacy and exchange between Africa and the diaspora?
Well, it's very interesting because I also represent the African Union 6th Region, which looks at the global diaspora, meaning we have the bilateral diaspora, which is Africans going abroad, and we have the historic diasporans. These are people whom through slavery, they have checked their DNA and realized that they have roots in Africa. So Wynton Marsalis himself is a Black American who is really returning home. For us, it's going to be an interesting one because this is a season where we're opening our doors to our global diaspora to identify with their roots and bring not only their talent, but also bring their investment back into the continent, especially Nigeria. For example, some of the revenues we've been seeing are from Nigerians in diaspora, but we're beginning to open our doors to the historic diaspora, which is the global diaspora, for them to be able to bring in their talent and investment into Nigeria.
So what's the lineup looking like? What are the things to expect at the event?
At this event, it's going to be very interesting. For the first time, we're going to have a collaboration between jazz and Afrobeat, a fusion with Made Kuti and the Lincoln Jazz Center as well. And we have our own very special, renowned artists like Yinka Davies, Jerry Omole, and we have also a very special group called the Saxophone Hub. These are kids that we train from age 6, take them sometimes from the street and, put instruments in their hands, and you would not believe how great these kids are. So we will be showcasing these kids from the Saxophone Hub as well, more or less giving hope to the seemingly bleak future of a lot of our young people. Every year we take them to the US to improve their skills in jazz. Believe me, when they come back, they impact their society positively. So there's a lot to expect. Also, we have fashion. Some fashion icons will also be exhibiting. We also have a bit of art. Dr. Pokuola, whom we call the man who turns metal into gold. You'll be seeing a lot of artwork as well. So there's several surprises. Please watch the space and do not miss this.
I see that part of the surprise. Is it a surprise that you are merging fashion with music in this whole lineup?
Yes. Yeah, there's going to be a fusion of fashion and music as well. So it's going to be a very interesting, it's a packed event. And these guys are coming to Nigeria for the very first time. So really, we're making history here with Winton Marsalis, whom he's very, very, very excited to come to Nigeria, by the way. The entire group is their first time in Nigeria, and that we're having the full jazz orchestra in Nigeria at this time. So it's an event nobody really wants to miss. Come 5th of October from 5 p.m. red carpet starts. Please buy your tickets right now at ariatickets.com or runwayjazz.org, right? Because we have limited space, there is no time. We only have a few days to this event. Please reserve your space in history and ensure you pick up your ticket today.
Right, you've really elaborated on the date and the time and what to expect. Could you tell us more about the venue so that everybody can hear? The venue of the event.
Sorry, I didn't get that question.
The venue, where's the venue?
The venue is at Landmark Center in VI.
Right. And
Yes.
how does Runway Jazz 2025, how does it fit into the broader, cultural development of Lagos and of Nigeria as a whole?
Sorry, I didn't get that question. Sorry.
I said, how does Runway Jazz 2025 fit into the broader cultural landscape of Lagos and Nigeria?
Well, if I hear you correctly, we have a few Nigerian artists, like I said, that will be performing. We have Made Kuti, we have Yinka Davis, we have Jerry Omole, we have the Saxophone Hub, and so on and so forth. And we have a few fashion icons as well. That is a surprise that they'll be exhibiting their wares as well. So it's really a packed event. And like I said earlier, there's also Dr. Pokuola, who will also be showcasing some of his unique artworks, converting metal into some amazing sculptural pieces.
It's looking like buy your ticket now kind of thing, so that people don't miss the show. Is there a website or the place where people can get more information about the event?
Yes, it's runwayjazz.org. Runwayjazz.org. Every information you need is right on there. And for example, for the event on the 4th of October, which is at the consul's residence, it's a private event. The one for the 5th, which is at Landmark, is open to everyone. And starting from 5 p.m. We're going to start. So please be on time, pick up your tickets, and reserve your space in history.
Again, you keep reminding me of buy your copy now. But no, that's not what we're doing.
We must thank you for your time on the program today. I'm sure Runway Jazz 2025 will be all the fun that you've made it out to be. Afolabi Oke, Ambassador African Union 6th Region to Nigeria and ECOWAS, talking about Runway Jazz 2025.
Lagos, is the hub of commercial and industrial activities, and all kinds of things happen from time to time. The last record says that between 2008 and this year, Lagos has managed something in the region of 13,700 emergencies, including fires, road accidents, structural collapses, and all. And somehow, the state's emergency response system has proven resilient.
Sometimes.
flooding. Thank you very much. So let's have a quick conversation this morning with Dr. Femi Okeosanyintolu, who is the Permanent Secretary of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency. He joins us here in the studio. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
My major challenge, Dr. Okeosanyintolu, is it's not the emergency itself, but the preparedness of the people. Let's start from there. Do you think we have a system that prepares people for emergency?
Yeah, when you are looking at the government side, we have a system that prepares us as a government circle for the people for emergency. I keep on saying that the key factor in emergency and disaster management is one factor which is very germane, which a lot of people, they don't really realize. And that factor is that the policy of the government. If you can see that the policy of this government, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, has taken clear ownership and provided the political will for emergency preparedness, emergency management in Lagos State. And with that, they were able to dedicate revenue. If they don't take ownership, if they don't provide political will, they won't dedicate. They
I hear the government side.
So without preparedness, we are on the government side. For the people, we are well prepared.
How about
if you look at the lacuna
side?
now,
Yes.
If you look at the lacuna,
yes,
because we have been empirical about it,
yes,
we are looking at the other side as both policy, good people of Lagos State. The orientation and attitude of our people, we still need to look into it. We are on government side now. We are trying to be what we say that we are trying to be practical about a lot of things. In terms of now, we are not going to stay on equipping alone, building capacity alone. We are now coming outside to do what we call sensitization advocacy.
And that's my apologies.
Of the people.
That is the issue. My colleague here talked about flooding as one of those issues. In the past, how many months? Okay, maybe I should ask you. In the past 1 month alone, how many collapsed buildings or fire incidences have we had in Lagos?
Okay, look at even don't let us look at in quite months per se.
There's a reason. One in the past 1 month alone.
Well, if you look at 1 month alone, I can't really come out
something in the region of 5 at least.
Let's say 5.
Let's say 5.
Yes.
It's the preparedness of the people for it that I am talking about here. I hear the government side. I hear the response time. I hear all the policies that government has come up with and all those things. But are the people psyched up for emergencies?
Well,
for instance, just a second. The reason I'm asking it is this. A building is going to collapse.
Yes.
Government knows that the building will collapse because you have done, your testings and all those things. The topography of certain areas puts them at risk.
Yes.
The weather forecast already says that these areas are going to be flooded. The information is out there.
Yes.
But do the people receive it in a way for them to be prepared?
Yeah.
You're going to learn.
How well do people absorb that information?
You see, that's the same question that we as operational people are asking. That we put a lot of things in place. We put policy, regulations, machinery in place to build capacity. But what is the orientation and attitude of the people? And that is why that if you look at our policy now, we have changed our policy of reasons. We've commenced massive enforcement. We are a democratic government of the people by the people. So we want to do things on humanly possible. But when we realize that what we are putting in place, the people are not keen into it, then you can see us now doing a lot of massive enforcement that so you can see this thing. We started with Egbo. That's why we can have a lot of advocacy and changing the orientation and attitude of the people. Not that we are shy away from enforcement, but when we realize that, our bossy and that is enforcement. You can see us going out, massive enforcement. And you see, in emergency management, it shouldn't be. We should try as much as possible to carry people along. We are working for the people. We are put there by the people. And because they have confidence in us. And we have justified that confidence in putting a lot of revenue in emergency preparedness, in the emergency response. But the lacuna is the attitude, orientations of our people.
And
then when we realize that,
just a second,
then
does
we come out massively.
Does that also include the private sector? Example, the fire on the island recently, that put the lives of certain workers. They left their home to go work. And they didn't tell the people that they weren't coming back. Unfortunately, there some families are mourning now in their homes the death of their loved ones. One day, same day, if memory serves me right, or is it the following day, there is a fire in the market not too far away.
Okay.
So, in terms of preparedness, is there a way we could have forestalled the one in that Mandela's building, for instance, particularly speaking from the private sector perspective?
Okay, let's look at the private sector aspects. You know, all these houses, they always have fire service licenses. We've put a lot of things in place. We've done a lot. You see, we are looking at the post-mortem aspect of that area. As an emergency manager, I've looked at it holistically. And if you look at it holistically, you will discover that all the emergency responders were there on the ground. The timing, it was swift, prompt, effective. Then what led to the mortality? You will discover that what led to the mortality, it was the secondary effect, that the people themselves are not well prepared. They have all the gadgets. They have the fire hydrants, they have the steps that they can take, and you will see them. What led to the main problem there is panic, anxiety. Do you know what I'm saying?
It goes back to the issue I asked Dr. Oshanitolu, preparedness.
Yes, I quite agree with you. And that's why we are saying that not only preparedness, the preparedness tied with orientation and attitude of the people. You have a fire staircase that you can take. It's inside that building. So why is it that they've not done a fire drills to let them have the confidence? You can see that what led to death in that place, it was due to the acute respiratory distress syndrome. It's not that the people sustained any injury in terms of burns. It was due that they inhaled. And if you look at the picture, you will see the area boys saying, "Drop down." You will see our team rescuing them. They prefer to listen to the area boys that has no knowledge about emergency management. You know, if
that questions whether or not the people trust you or not. That's
it's not that. It's the attitude, it's the instinct. Human beings operate in 3 levels. You have the ego, you have the super ego, and you have the primitive with the instinct. And they operate on that instinct. That instinct comes with fears. And that fears is what you discussed now. Because it pours in adrenaline and not adrenaline. And what is it? You won't ask, how will I do it? I want to escape. You know, instead of you asking how, in that building we have a fire staircase that they could take.
How about the fire that happened in the market? Could that also have been avoided? Because they are clearly not
avoided. Almost this disaster are more man-made. Okay, you leave your house, you leave your shop, you did not off your air conditioner electricity. You put it on.
Is that what happened in the market?
That's major things that happens in the market. You store petrochemicals. You don't have fire detector, all these things. But however, in Lagos State, we've looked into it holistically. We've come up with another organization. While we are responding, we have organization that is auditing our activities, auditing the perception, auditing the orientation of people, and that is Safety Commission. You now see our Safety Commission being more
So that's
aggressive.
a kind of proactive
It is a proactive
infrastructure.
aspect of
I also see that you in particular, Dr. Femi Okeosanyintolu, your concern is not just about what is happening in Lagos. You are having a conference because these emergencies happen all over the nation.
Definitely.
What happened in, was it Kogi State?
Yeah,
how many months ago? And a number of other places. I understand that there is going to be that kind of, are you trying to conscientize your colleagues, emergency managers all over the nation about the same thing?
It's not about me, it's about the government, so to say. You can see that Lagos State has experienced a lot of emergencies that could have led to a lot of mortalities. And you can see that Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, has taken clear leadership about all this. And you can see that mortalities, morbidities that are associated with all this thing has greatly reduced in Lagos State under the tenorship, under the watch of Mr. So we want the other state. They've been coming to us. Okay. They've been collaborating with us. We've been sharing information. Right now, by October 2nd, 4th, we are bringing all the other states in collaboration with NEMA so that we can share information, so that we can build resilience. We can build resilience in Nigeria. Don't forget that the present president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was the one that established LASEMA in Lagos State. So we are trying to spread all these things to other states so that we will build a resilient Nigeria, and the good people of Nigeria will enjoy the dividends of democracy.
One quick funny question. I don't know. I hope it is funny.
I hope so too.
Are there cultural peculiarities to emergency response?
Definitely.
Oh,
but there is. There is cultural peculiarity. There is belief. Because when you are looking at emergency itself, when you look at the intrinsic and extrinsic factor, the culture, the belief comes into place. Why some area they will not prepare. They will say, alone, it is God's doing. So they will not prepare for it. Where in other culture, they are ready to prepare to advance something like that. You will see some people, like they will say that, oh, this place is prone to flood. But they will tell you that this is our ancestral land. We won't leave this place. If anything happens, we will take it.
Let's
so
hope
we are changing the orientation, changing the belief, changing the local knowledge of the people.
Let's hope that you'll be able to address all of those issues when you have that meeting.
Yes.
Dr. Femi Okeosanyintolu, I really wish we had more time to discuss this, because I know that Joke couldn't just wait to put in her questions, but I'm sorry, honey, we gotta go. But Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, Dr. Femi Okeosanyintolu, we appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So, that thing she talked about, that thing, home stretch.
Yes.
Our last card is coming up.
Talk about our emergency number.
What's your emergency?
Our emergency number is 112-767.
I'm not asking you to try it now because it is an emergency number. Try it only when there is an emergency. And I know our next guest will want to speak to that. We'll be right back. By the way, I hear that the number is
112-767.
Wait. Are those two numbers or one number?
There are two numbers. 112
is 1
or 767.
Okay, so that's 112 or 767. So those are the two sets of numbers. 112 or 767.
Store them as emergency.
Yes.
Lagos emergency on your phone.
We have him live and direct, sitting here with me. And that's our artist of the week. There you see him. Oluwaseyitan Lawrence.
Aletile.
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 That means it's not yet dark.
It's not yet night.
It's not yet dark, really. Yeah. Popularly called Seyi Law. He's a popular Nigerian comedian, actor, and content creator, known for his humorous takes on life, relationships, current events, what have you. He's widely followed on social media platforms and has gained a reputation for his witty observations and comedic timing.
There's something we didn't add.
What?
SSC. Senior special advisor.
Assistant.
Senior special
assistant to the governor of
Ondo State.
Ondo State.
On entertainment and tourism.
Entertainment and tourism. Is it easy? Is it easy? Your Excellency.
And you know, I was in a movie for Ebony Life called Your Excellency.
Oh, wow. Yes, yeah.
Maybe I'm an excellency in waiting. But right now we're still making our little contribution to the growth of entertainment and tourism in Ondo State.
Right. So are you taking a break from all that to, perform your new role in Ondo State, or are you working side by side?
Oh, of course. I'm comedy pays the money. The role as a senior special assistant to Mr. Governor is more or less what I consider as my social responsibility to the people of Ondo State. So I believe that as somebody who's from Ondo State, the state has given me, give me something to be proud of. And the only thing I can do to give back to the state is to encourage and support other young talents, which I have been doing. Even before the appointment, I've been doing that. And since I got the appointment, there have been quite a lot of shows in Ondo State that I go back to perform for the younger comedians, and also try to bring the state to support entertainment in general. And so it's a good one to be able to do that. And, I tell people that I've gotten an appointment, but then I'd also spend my personal funds to support what I believe in the state. One time I told somebody I spent over 60 million on my personal fund since my appointment. And because people think, they take appointment because they want to make money. Sometimes we do these things because we believe that our state deserves to grow too. I want a situation where when you come into Nigeria and you see Lagos State, the next point of call should be Ondo State. In terms of entertainment, in terms of tourism. A lot of the young people in entertainment today are from the state. They are from Ondo State. Yeah, the likes of the Shola Shoboale, the Richard Ayoma Kunwe, the comedian that you know, the Kenny Black that you know, the Akpororo that you know, Sheyi Law, the Yemi Blacks, a lot of us are from Ondo State. And people don't know this. The Small Doctor, the Bad Boy teams that you know, the Check that you know. So, because people don't know this, I don't think it's a good thing. I think if we're able to all go back and contribute, then our state will be better known, and people will want to associate.
Do you leverage on that, to, for them to help you contribute to make the state better, since, you are from Ondo State, they are from Ondo State, and you say, guys, I have this, I can't do it alone, let's work together.
Yeah, so that is part of my project for next year. What I try to do for the first year of the appointment is to familiarize myself with the young talent that are within the state. So after that is done, then we can now go back and say, see, we've identified these young talents. You guys are big boys, you're big men, big women in the entertainment industry. Now come and support us. And we also have to revive some of the entertainment events that make the state bubble. And that is why I'm very excited with what Mr. Governor has done. We're bringing back the Mare Festival that is happening in December, and then there's going to be the Ondo State Cultural Festival that will involve different states, and then there is another event that is coming that we culminate into the end of year event, which is the Sunshine crossover night. And so these are the things.
We're already promoting on the state, and you are not paying for that one. So
no, please. I personally take personal offense from that.
Yes.
I'm not from Ondo.
Okay.
But I'm an Ondo wife, so please.
As I was trying to say, Mr. Oladikalu,
I was not going to say anything.
You know who you are going to send the invoice to? who is going to deliver it home?
I was not going to say anything, but now you spoke.
Yes, I have spoken.
You know, those husbands are good people.
Please don't. We are not doing no nepotism here. No nepotism here. Thank you very much. But the interesting thing for me here today, Joke, you may not know this, is that Sheyilo is 20 years on stage.
Wow.
And that calls for a celebration.
Yes.
When you recall your first day on stage, let's start from the decision to do comedy. How did that decision come to be?
Well, it's a story that is always interesting when I share it. You know, first in 2003, I decided to go into entertainment, and I started with dancing.
Oh wow!
I'm trying to imagine a Sheyilo dance.
I used to dance Makosa. You needed to see my thin waist. That was before the pot belly started showing. So I decided to, I started with dancing, and at some point I felt, I was acting in the church drama group, and every time my part comes on, it's always a time for laughter in the church, and so I said, okay, let me add acting to it. And I used to go from Orile, I go to the National Art Theatre to try and see if I could get a role with my 5x7 picture in my pocket. And that was where I met this guy who's also into comedy now. He goes by the name MC Danfo.
Oh, wow.
I was way back in 2003. We were all hustling together. At some point, he got a role to play the role of a gate man in a movie. I didn't get the role. I think my biggest achievement was the day the late Sam Loco sent me to get him a bottle of beer.
Wow.
I felt like I'd achieved a lot because this was a man that I adored, And so after about 2 years trying to do that, I fell back to doing my business center phone call at a relay bus stop. I was making phone call for people. And then one night I closed at about 11 and I went home and there was a movie on Snow White. And so I cracked a joke from that movie. And everybody in the house, I had a good laugh. And my cousin, who was a member of a music group called Port Images, said, you make us laugh. You know that people are making money from this thing. Okay, next Sunday, we're going to a church to perform. Come with us. When we go there, when they introduce us to perform, you go on stage, use about 5 minutes of our slot, then introduce us to come and perform. And I'd never, yes, I make people laugh in school, do a bit of MCs here and there, but I've never done it as a stand-up comedian. And that day was August 7th, 2005.
Wow.
I think it was August 9 or thereabout, 2005, at a Redeemed Christian Church of God Church, New Life Parish at Ipori.
Wow.
In Lagos, yeah. And so I went on stage and I had people falling from their chairs when I was cracking joke.
So what material did you use? I think it was impromptu.
It was.
Look at your audience, so you had to be cautious
because I was just confident. I just talk. I just pick things from the Bible. I talked about Lot and the wife. Okay. You understand? And all those stuff.
What did Lot's wife did to you?
I said if he was an Igbo man that the wife became salt, why Yoruba man would say he has become a salt and Yoruba man will run? Igbo man will say, nah man, I cannot hear your mother's voice. So children, Beko, be walking in front, let me reverse back. They will use his back to walk back and look at the wife, taste the salt. This is original salt. Well, in fact, this one is better than all the normal salt that we used to see. We will pack it inside bag and start selling it. And so I did those jokes then and all those stuff. And, it was a time, people had a good time. And as I was coming down from the stage, somebody approached me and said, can you come to our church to perform?
Wow.
And he said, we're going to pay you. And he said, how much will you say? I said, hold on. I went to meet my cousin. How much will I charge? I didn't even know what to charge. And the person said, we'll give you $750 just for you to perform. It was 750 naira in 2005.
750 naira.
750 naira.
That was plenty money.
That time, in my head, I calculated the amount I make when I'm at the business center and I sit from 6 a.m. till 11 p.m. That my profit was just about 500. And then somebody said for just 10 minutes they will give me 750. I said I found a new calling. Now my Igbo man says came in straight. I started calculating it. If I do 10 minutes here, I can go to another church that same day, do 10 minutes. 1,500. Man, this is a business now. because this is business. And no wonder I had to marry an Igbo lady afterwards.
Wow.
To complement all the business things. So that was how the decision started. I made Emeka Smith, and when Emeka Smith invited me to his church that they were going to do something, which is one story that I always share, I was walking 2 weeks prior to the event. I was walking on the road, and somebody was calling Oluwaseyitan. I didn't know the person, so I didn't answer. That wasn't my name, And then the person touched me and said, Oluwaseyitan. I said, that's not my name. He said, that's the name that God called you.
Wow.
And 2 weeks after that incident, I went to Emeka Smith Church, and they didn't want me to perform. I had trekked from Ebutimeta to Aguda in Surulere.
Wow.
And I got there, I was sweaty, my trouser was up, and my shirt was a little rumpled, and I was wearing a palm slippers that was left with only the palm because the slippers has gone. And so Emeka took me to the other guys and said, this now the guy why they tell you now the guy funny. And the leader of the group looked at me head to toe down and he said, no, this thing don't fit climb our altar now.
Jesus.
That was the word he used. But as a Yoruba boy, I was groomed in the wisdom of Yoruba proverb. They say, you understand? So I know that, the insult could come. But I was looking at the church, I saw the crowd that were trooping into the church, and I said, I needed this platform. So at that time, whatever you say doesn't matter. Let me get the opportunity to be here. And I heard that then Shedi Baba was going to be in the church, and Jedi was going to be in the church as their guest comedian. And guess who was on the drum set in that church? Was the person who produced the song for Clean the Drunk and the Goro, Obodoze Nugo, and it was Soso Sobereko. He was the one on the drum. And so while we were waiting for the show to happen, they were waiting for Jedi to come. They didn't want to do their performance before Jedi arrives in the church. So there was a time lapse, a time gap. And then Soso just said, come on, I just use this guy, fill the gap now. And so they said, okay, you should go on stage. And I went on stage. Luckily for me, I stepped on stage just about 1 minute into my performance. Jerry stepped into the hall. Shedi Baba came into the hall. Wow. And I had a standing ovation about 3 times in between my performance. People were standing and shouting. By the time I finished my performance, my stage name then was Shei Easy.
It's not easy.
I didn't know you asked to say easy for no day at the party. That was what I used to say. And Jerry ran on stage, heard me, and was like, man, this is a talent that was waiting to explode.
Wow.
And when we finished, when we were leaving the church, I was the one that Jedi heard, while they who brought him to the church were following behind. And at some point, Jedi said, what's your other name? I said, oh, Lawrence. He said, so why you can't say Shei Easy? Why you not just Shei Easy? He thought I said Shei Easy. Oh. He said, why you not put Shei and then Law from Lawrence and just say Shei Law? I said, my name is not Shei. He said, I thought your name is Oluwaseyitan. And that reminded me of what happened 2 weeks earlier. And that was when I went to change my name and I included Oluwaseyitan in my name.
Wow.
And the name has brought me more than I'd prayed for in my life at that time. And so from 2005, this is 2025, God has helped me to still be there, relevant, being mentioned amongst the comedians in Nigeria, outside the country and everywhere. God has been good.
So we will not say that, we won't ask you all the questions today, because we barely have 5 minutes. But so how are you celebrating 20 years on stage?
The celebration started since June.
Oh.
Yes, the celebration started since June because I wanted it to pass into the month of August where the main thing started. And so I was in Abuja June 1st. We had Sheila, the Mark Tyson, which actually is another funny name. My younger colleague, Dikin Abino, We looked at me whenever I go to Abuja to perform, and he sees that I go on stage, and every time it was Sheila was killing the show. And so whenever I crack joke, one day I came down from the stage and said, Baba, bros, you be Mike Tyson. Mm-hmm. Every time you hold Mike, they use Mike, they destroy.
Oh, Mike.
Mike. Yeah, Mike Tyson.
Okay,
and so so when I was going to celebrate 20 years, I just said, no, this name you call me, I should use it to celebrate. And so I said the Mike Tyson. And we did June 1st in Abuja, and then we went to the UK. I was in Birmingham. It was another episode on its own, and then we went to London. It was crazy. I believe when I performed in London, Wema looked at me and he said, bros, these performers can go anywhere in the world. And so we decided Lagos, October 5th, 2025 at the Balmoral Hall, Federal Palace Hotel. We are going to celebrate 20 years on stage in the city where it all started. October 5th, 2025. It's amazing that it started in Lagos, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm always grateful to the government of Lagos State. And the things that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu started to make entertainment and nightlife good for us in Lagos State. So we're doing in Lagos State, and then there's going to be a homecoming in Ondo State on November 16th.
Don't advertise, do that advertising again.
But I want to bring our wife home.
Yes.
This one, she will be here on this program. In the meantime, I will talk about that one later. Let's see if that is even possible. I have plenty of SAN. Anyway, so you have influenced many yourself. I knew Jedi when Jedi was upcoming. At the time, and to imagine that he was even the one that named you, we're gonna come to him at the time. But the challenges of the industry are not just going to go away, and some of them. The fact that it's so easy to come into the industry, do you see it as a problem or an opportunity?
It's an opportunity, not a problem, and I'll tell you the reason. Comedy. People will believe that it is something that should come to you naturally, but people also can learn to be funny. Because when I started, yes, I was funny, but when I got into the job, I saw another dimension to the job. I saw the business aspect that I didn't see outside, and that was where meeting with Alibaba changed that perspective. And meeting with AY changed my orientation. So at that time, after I started, Jerry told me AY was going to do a comedy competition, and then he wanted me to register, and I registered. I became the first winner.
Wow.
September 9, 2006, I became the first winner of AY's Open Mic Comedy Competition. And what I tried to do was to learn through service. I'll go to AY's house, help him wash the car, sweep the house, and then I'll stay a while, then go home, and then I'll come again, and from coming to greet, spend a day, 2 days, and I started staying at his place, helping, and from there I quickly was able to learn to register my company in 2007, do my invoicing, do corporate letter writing, do negotiations and all those stuff. And so it's one aspect of the business that AY brought from Alibaba, from his time from Alibaba, and I learned that from him. You understand? And I started understanding those who have been in the industry. I started seeing the audibility of Gordon's when he holds the microphone and he speaks into the microphone. If you are distracted, you want to look and listen. I saw the intelligence of I Go Die. I saw the branding aspect that Basket brought to the industry. I saw the event planning of AY. I saw the spoken English of Tedu Babyface, Baso Charia Jr., Jedi and Co. And so I had to learn all these things and put it into a body called Sheila to become a great person.
I think we need another session. In fact, we need a panel session. By the way, let me put you on the spot. December 27th, will you be here in Lagos? The answer is yes. Thank you very much. So we'll see you on December 27th. You can now sign off your Baboko.
Yes, proudly so. Please. Proudly so. You have been listening to the unique, dynamic, very funny, making you laugh scatter. Oh God. The incredible Sheyi Law. Hey, SSA. Hey, it's not easy.
Off camera. 60 million. Anyway, thank you.
A pleasure having you. With your acquired name, Oluwaseyitan Lawrence Aletile. Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this time. Thank you for coming on our show.
Okay.
It's time to go. Don't be jealous.
After all that celebration,
yes, so
please, Mr. Adekalu, invoice this way. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
And I'm Joke Rogers. Cheerio.